Have you ever stopped to think that your digital life is basically a documentary? I mean, not when you sit down and watch, but when you're creating, right now with every single click, tap, and search. It's a story told with your data. But here's the catch. You might not be the only one holding the camera, and you're definitely not the only one who has access to the editing room. Okay, let's get into it. This quote comes from a guy named John Grierson, one of the pioneers of documentary film. And what he meant was, documentaries aren't just a perfect, unfiltered window into reality. Nope, they're a constructed version of it. And that idea is more powerful today than ever. You've got corporations, employees, and individuals all acting like documentarians, using the raw footage of our data to argue their version of what's real. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to become film critics for a bit. We're going to look at 3 completely different documentaries, all being made with digital evidence. We'll see how a huge corporation tells its story, how an employee pushes back with a totally different version, and how one man is desperately trying to piece together a film just to survive. Right, so here's the core idea you need to hold on to. Your data isn't just a bunch of ones and zeros. It's the raw material for a story. It's the footage. And that footage can be cut, framed, and presented to create a narrative about who you are, what you've done, and what you believe. First up, we've got a real masterclass in corporate storytelling. Apple put out this document, A Day in the Life of Your Data. And trust me, it's a perfectly crafted film. It's got a clear hero, a vulnerable victim, and a pretty shadowy villain. The story Apple tells is about a dad and his daughter, John and Emma. They're just going to the park. Seems simple enough, right? But with every little thing they do, John checking the news, Emma playing a game, them taking a selfie, their devices are leaving this trail of digital breadcrumbs. And in the background, without them knowing, that data is being collected, tracked, and even sold. Their simple day out is secretly building a massive data profile about them. And this isn't some small thing. It's happening on a huge scale. According to Apple's own research, the average app on your phone has, get this, 6 of these trackers embedded in it. They just work silently in the background, slurping up your data for companies you've probably never even heard of. In Apple's documentary, these trackers, they're the bad guys. So who are these villains, really? They're called data brokers. These companies operate in the shadows of a $227 billion a year industry, just buying and selling our personal information. They build these crazy detailed profiles on us with thousands of data points, from where we go to how much money we make, all without us ever knowing. They are the unseen antagonists in Apple's story. And this is where the hero swoops in. Apple positions itself as the savior in its own movie. They introduce features like the app privacy labels and that little pop-up we all see now, the Ask App Not to Track prompt. What they're really doing is handing the editing tools back to us, the users. Their message is simple. You should be the one in the director's care of your own data documentary. It's a powerful story. But, every story has another side, and sometimes there's a plot twist. So what happens when someone else picks up a camera and starts filming? Well, we're about to see a competing narrative, one where the hero of our last story is suddenly looking a lot more like the villain. This line is from a lawsuit filed by an Apple employee named Amar Bhakta. And his version of the story isn't about privacy and empowerment. No, it's about surveillance. He claims that for employees, the Apple ecosystem isn't some beautiful, safe garden. It's a prison yard where the company is always, always watching. At the heart of the lawsuit is this claim. Because employees have to use Apple devices for work, even their personal ones, all the data on those devices can be searched and monitored by the company. So what is it? Is the Apple ecosystem a walled garden that protects you from the dangers outside? Or is it a prison yard where your every move is being watched from the inside? Suddenly, we have 2 documentaries about the exact same thing telling completely opposite stories. Okay, so we've seen the corporate view and the employee's counter-narrative. But what happens when the fight isn't about market share or company policy, but about one person's actual life? What if you don't have a marketing team and you believe you're being systematically attacked? And the only way to prove it is to create your own documentary, one screenshot, one receipt at a time. This is not some polished corporate report. This is the messy, raw, chaotic reality of someone trying to build a case from scratch. This is Lester Peltier's documentary. It's a collection of legal filings, receipts, and screenshots that he believes proves there's a coordinated attack against him. For him, this isn't an exercise. This is a fight for survival. So, Peltier has put together what he calls a master case map, and it outlines this incredibly complex story he's trying to tell. It starts with alleged extortion and false accusations in Atlanta, then moves to what he describes as a coercive and abusive relationship in Miami. And it all leads up to a 4-month digital siege, where he claims he was locked out of his accounts, his location was being tracked through ad auctions, and even a storage unit with his evidence was tampered with. To fight back, he's created what he calls a strategic arsenal of documents. And each one of these is like a specific scene in his documentary, edited for a very specific audience. The digital interference log, that's for his probation officer, to prove he wasn't just ignoring them, he was being hacked. The RICO referral, that's for the FBI, to try and connect all the dots. Every single document is a piece of his reality, carefully crafted to make his case. And look, this isn't just a personal dispute. The battleground Peltier describes is governed by some serious federal laws, like the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. To put it simply, this law makes it a federal crime to access a computer without permission. So this isn't just one guy's story. It's a conflict playing out on a stage where the stakes are incredibly high. So, we've watched 3 very different films today, haven't we? We had Apple's glossy production about privacy, we had the employee's gritty counter-narrative of surveillance, and we had one man's raw, desperate collection of evidence. And all of it leads us to one fundamental question. Every single day, you are generating footage. Your emails, your texts, your location, the things you buy, the photos you take, it's all evidence. Your life is a story being written in data, second by second, whether you're paying attention to it or not. And really, this all comes down to power. Who has the power to see that footage? Who can log you out of your own life? Who gets to take your story, your evidence, and twist it into something you don't even recognize? Or worse, who has the power to just hit delete on the whole thing? So, that leaves us with this last, lingering thought. In a world where your life story is told through bits and bytes, and where so many different players, corporations, employers, even your enemies have their hands on the editing software, who actually gets to make the final cut? Who is the final editor of your documentary?